Right now, you are traveling 1,670 kilometers per hour. Not in a plane. Not in a car. But because the earth beneath your feet is spinning. And if that motion suddenly stopped, everything on the surface of the planet would keep moving. Cities would be ripped apart. Oceans would cross continents. Winds faster than supersonic jets would circle the planet. Half of Earth would burn. The other half would freeze in darkness. And humanity might survive in only one narrow strip of land on the entire planet. But here's the real question. If stopping Earth's rotation would destroy civilization, what invisible forces are keeping our world spinning right now? Let's find out. It's easy to think the Earth is still. After all, we don't feel it moving. But our planet is actually rotating incredibly fast. At the equator, Earth's surface moves 465 meters per second. That's roughly 1,670 kilometers per hour. Faster than many aircraft. And this rotation isn't random. It began 4.5 billion years ago when our planet formed from a spinning disk of gas and dust. According to the laws of physics, especially the conservation of angular momentum, once something begins rotating, it tends to keep rotating unless a powerful force stops it. That's why Earth has kept spinning for billions of years. But what if that motion suddenly stopped? Because if Earth stopped rotating, the first disaster wouldn't come from space. It would start right beneath your feet. Imagine the planet suddenly stopping. The ground would halt instantly. But everything above it would still be moving. Cars. Buildings. Airplanes. Oceans. Even the air itself. This happens because of inertia, described by Newton's first law of motion. Objects in motion stay in motion unless acted upon by another force. And moments before the Earth stopped, everything on the surface was moving eastward at up to 1,670 kilometers per hour. So when the ground stopped, everything would keep going. Entire cities could be thrown eastward. Skyscrapers would collapse. Vehicles would slide across the ground at airplane speeds. Near the equator, the destruction would be catastrophic. But this is only the beginning. Because solid objects aren't the only things moving with Earth. The entire atmosphere is moving too. And when the planet stops, the air doesn't stop with it. Right now, the atmosphere rotates with Earth. But if the planet suddenly stopped, the air would continue racing eastward. At up to 1,600 kilometers per hour. That's faster than the strongest hurricane ever recorded. For comparison, one of the most powerful storms in history was Typhoon Haiyan, with winds around 315 kilometers per hour. But here, winds could be 5 times stronger. Entire forests would be flattened. Cities would be buried under debris. Dust and water vapor would fill the sky. The atmosphere would transform into a planet-wide storm system. And the storms could last for weeks. But the most terrifying destruction wouldn't come from the wind. It would come from the oceans. Because Earth's rotation is actually holding the oceans in place. Earth's rotation causes water to bulge around the equator. This effect is created by centrifugal force. Because of this, the ocean surface at the equator sits about 8 kilometers farther from Earth's center than it would otherwise. But if the planet stopped spinning, that force disappears. And gravity would begin pulling the water toward the poles. But the oceans wouldn't move slowly. They would surge across the planet. Mega-tsunamis hundreds of meters tall could race across entire ocean basins. Entire coastal regions would vanish. And the map of Earth would begin to change forever. And even if humanity somehow survived the first hours, the next problem would be something much stranger. Time itself would change. Without rotation, Earth would no longer have a 24-hour day. Instead, the only motion would be its orbit around the Sun. That means one full cycle of daylight would last one entire year. Half the planet would face the sun for 6 continuous months. The other half would remain in darkness for 6 months. Temperatures would become extreme. The day side would heat endlessly. The night side would freeze. And Earth would begin to resemble an alien planet. But the worst temperatures wouldn't happen in the dark. They would happen on the side facing the sun. On the sunlit hemisphere, temperatures would steadily rise. Without nighttime cooling, the surface would absorb solar energy continuously. In some regions, temperatures could exceed 100 degrees Celsius. Oceans would begin evaporating. Lakes and rivers would disappear. Plants would struggle to survive under constant sunlight. Entire ecosystems could collapse. Gigantic heat storms would form as hot air rises into the atmosphere. Storm systems larger than continents could dominate the sky. But while one side of Earth burns, the other side would become a frozen world. Without sunlight for 6 months, temperatures could fall below -70 degrees Celsius. Oceans would freeze. Snow and ice would cover entire continents. Much of the atmosphere's water vapor would freeze and fall as snow. Life would struggle to survive. But between these two extreme worlds, there might be one place where humans could live. A narrow band around the planet where the sun never fully rises. And never completely disappears. This region is known as the Terminator Zone. It's the twilight band between day and night. Temperatures here might stay within survivable limits. If civilization survived, it would likely move here. Cities could form along this narrow ring around the planet. Agriculture might exist under controlled environments. Energy could come from massive solar fields on the sunlit side. But even then, another invisible danger would remain. Because Earth's rotation isn't just controlling the weather. It may also help power something protecting our entire planet. Deep inside Earth lies a molten iron outer core. As this liquid metal moves, it generates Earth's magnetic field through a process called the geodynamo. This magnetic field protects the atmosphere from solar radiation. Without it, charged particles from the sun could slowly strip the atmosphere away. Something similar happened to Mars billions of years ago. If Earth's rotation slowed dramatically, this magnetic protection could weaken. Over long periods of time, the planet could lose some of its atmosphere. And if that happens, Earth wouldn't just change. It would become a completely different world. Over thousands of years, the oceans would continue migrating toward the poles. 2 massive polar oceans could form. Meanwhile, a giant equatorial landmass would emerge where oceans once existed. From space, the Earth would look completely different. A band of land across the middle. 2 enormous oceans at the poles. And one narrow ring of twilight where life might survive. Fortunately, this scenario is almost impossible. Stopping the rotation of an entire planet would require unimaginable energy. Not even the gravitational pull of the sun or the tides caused by the moon could halt Earth overnight. But something fascinating is still happening. Earth is slowly slowing down. Because of tidal interactions with the moon, our days grow longer by about 1.7 milliseconds every century. Over billions of years, this tiny change will continue. Long after human civilization is gone. Long after the continents have drifted into new shapes. Even long after the sun begins to change. Earth will still be spinning. And every sunrise we see today is part of a motion that began billions of years ago. A motion that quietly keeps oceans stable. Keeps the atmosphere balanced. And makes life possible on this fragile blue planet. Because sometimes, the most important forces in the universe are the ones we never notice. Until they stop.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next reality.